Hey everyone, welcome back to Scrummy. Today I've got a fabulous sponge recipe for you. This is a light sponge that I'm making today, so there's no butter in it. Sometimes it's called a fatless sponge. I've also seen this referred to as an Irish sponge, as it's a popular and traditional treat in Ireland. This is the only sponge cake my mum ever made when I was young, and it's absolutely gorgeous. And I can guarantee you there won't be a piece of this left in the house on the day you make it. So let's get started. It's very simple. I've got some eggs in here. I've just got 4 medium eggs, and into this I'm going to add in some caster sugar. I'm going to whisk this up for about 5 minutes, and I want the mixture to double in size. Alright, so the mixture has doubled in size, and just a quick tip for you, so you know it's at the right stage. Just lift your whisk and make the number 8 on top of the mixture. And if it sits on top, the mixture is ready. We can start adding the flour. So we're going to do that now. I've got all-purpose flour here, or plain flour, that's all I'm adding. There's no raising agent in it. We don't need a raising agent for this sponge cake. Because we've whisked the mixture up and it's doubled in size, we've introduced lots of air, and that's what's going to help the sponge to rise. So we're just going to add a little at a time. My mum always said to use a metal spoon to fold it in, and you have to fold it in very gently. And you just have to make sure you lift the mixture as well as you're folding it. Very simple, just like that. If you put all the flour in at once, it just makes it very difficult to get it folded in. Just make sure to go to the bottom of the bowl as well, because sometimes you can miss a little bit of flour. If you don't fold in the flour fully, when you bake the cake, you'll have pockets of flour in your baked cake. Okay, so we're ready to get the remaining flour in there. And that's perfect. Now we're just going to get this into the tins. Alright, so the tins I'm using are an 8-inch sandwich tin. These are non-stick, but I always like to grease them and place a little bit of greaseproof paper in the bottom as well, because there's nothing worse than making a cake and not getting it out of your tin. So let's get half the mixture in here. That's about half. Just tap it a couple of times on the worktop. As simple as that. Now these are only going to take about 15 minutes to bake at 180 degrees Celsius, 160 if you're using a fan. And just remember, don't open the oven door because it will affect the rise on these sponges. So let's get them into the oven now. The sponges are ready. They're a lovely golden colour, and just a quick tip for you to know that they're fully baked is you just press lightly on the top of one of the sponges and it'll spring back up. You know at that point your cakes are fully baked. Now I'm just going to leave these for about 1 or 2 minutes just to cool slightly before I turn them out on the wire rack. Okay, so these have cooled for a few minutes. One thing I always do is I get a knife and I just run it along the edge of the sponge, just like that, because sometimes the edge can get stuck. Do that for the 2 of them. And now we're going to turn them out. Another tip my mum always said worked was to just get a damp cloth and rub the bottom of the tin, just like that, all around. And I think the dampness from the cloth and the heat helps the sponge to pop out of the cake tin. So let's see if this one has worked. And this one. So they have turned out perfect. We're going to let these sit for about 20 minutes to cool fully, and then we're going to fill them with some freshly whipped cream and strawberry jam, and they'll be delicious. So we'll see you shortly. Alright, so now it's time to decorate. My favourite part. We're going to keep this nice and simple. We're just going to fill it with jam, strawberry jam and freshly whipped cream. If you like, you could layer it with cream first and then slice some strawberries and pop them on top. That'd be lovely either. Or you could put some even sliced strawberries in with the strawberry jam. Okay, so we're going to do the jam first. And this is a full-on jam. They're really nice. And it's worth spending a little bit of extra money on a nice jam if you're doing a fresh cream and jam sponge. And just spread that out, right out to the edge of the cake. Okay, so I'm happy with that. Next up, it's the cream. And I'm just going to pop some of this into the center. And spread it out. You can spread it right out to the edge if you want. I'm just going to pipe a little bit of cream around the edge. Okay, so I've got some cream in this piping bag, and now let's just pipe around the edge. Let's get the other half of the cake on top. Just take off the parchment paper, and we're ready to sit it right on top there. And that's it, finished. Now I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of icing sugar on top, but just to create a nice design. This is something really simple you can do. What I do is I get my wire rack and I sit it on top of my cake like that. And then I get some icing sugar in a sieve and just sieve over the wire rack. If you don't have a wire rack, just sieve some icing sugar on top and it'll be fine. Now let's take this off and see what you think. Just look at that, and how simple and effective is that look for the top of your sponge cake. I think it's great. Now we're just going to finish this off. You can pop a few strawberries on top, just like that. Look at that. How nice does that look? Really simple and elegant. All right, I'm going to cut into this now. And just look at that. Those lovely layers of nice fluffy sponge, cream and jam. Yum, absolutely delicious. And that is my fatless sponge cake, and I hope you try it out. We always refer to it as Mammy's sponge because she made this all the time. She never made a Victoria sandwich. She made this light sponge cake. She made it for birthdays, community events and cake sales. She was actually very well known for making this sponge. She was really good at doing it. Thanks so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed the video, and please do try out this sponge. You'll all love it, the kids will love it, and there'll be none of it left over. Thanks again. Happy baking, everyone. Enjoy. See you all soon. Bye bye.